He went and did a silly thing. Well, I'll tell you what he did. He ordered his planes to attack your country. Well, let me finish, Dimitri. Well, listen, how do you think I feel about it? Can you imagine how I feel about it, Dimitri? Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon. A very special episode.
Every week I've got to ask what movie is that from.
It's from Doctor Strange, Love, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange, Love, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
I thought you were about just Doctor Strange from the MCU. I was like, I cannot remember that line being in that movie whatsoever.
No.
How have you two enjoyed your week? It's been fucking cracking weather.
Cracking weather, but it's too bad for that, because I've just been inside watching Bones.
Yeah, to be fair. So I was telling Chris before you came on, Max, that despite the fact that we're only reviewing season 1 of Bones, which I didn't think I would finish in time for this podcast, I have now nearly finished season 2. I love this show.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk it? So
it was sorry, carry on.
I was just going to introduce it. So if you listen to episode 24 of the Sunday Movie Marathon, you'd know that we're talking about Bones. Season 1 came out in 2005. Why are we doing this? Well, it's kind of started as...
I thought you were asking us the question, sorry.
Sorry, it was rhetorical. I'm going to answer the question. Well, it started like as a bit of a meme. I got a package one day to my house with my name on it. I was like, this is a pretty big package. I don't remember ordering anything that big. So, little by little, I chip away at the packaging, sort of like a pass the parcel type of deal. There's just so much packaging on this thing. And I get to what's inside. What do you know? It's the complete collection of Bones. Seasons 1 to 12 on DVD. I'm like, what? What? Who has sent me this? Who knows? I never did find out. These things just happen, you know? So we figured, wow, that's a really funny meme there, Max. Why don't we do episode 25 of the Sunday Movie Marathon? We'll talk about Bones Season 1. We were going to watch it all together, but then lockdown happened. So luckily it got added to Disney Plus, so we just watched it at home.
Yeah, I was going to say, did this turned up before we started doing the podcast, wasn't it? We were only watching movies at this point, weren't we?
Maybe.
Yeah, because I can't remember. I can't remember because it was like October last year when we started doing this. But yeah, the box set turned up, and for ages we were just making memes about it. And then someone said we should just watch season 1 and review it for episode 25. And so when you said about watching this, I looked at the show. I was like, "There's 12 seasons, so it must have been good." But I was half expecting it to be shit, and I was dreading. I was like, "I'm gonna have to force myself to watch this fucking TV show." But no, I literally finished season 1 so quickly.
Yeah, there are plenty of bad shows that got a lot of seasons. What did we all think about season 1 of Bones then?
I'll start. I think this is a good show so far. I think it starts off incredibly rough. The first maybe 7 or 8 episodes, I was not enjoying it at all. It just felt super generic in terms of investigation shows and stuff. And I think it was episode 9 maybe, where I was like, that episode was actually really good. And then I got quite invested in it, and I really enjoyed the rest of the show. I still don't think it's an incredible show, but after finishing the first season, I think this is a show that has potential to get better and better as it goes on.
Yeah, I think it's with every show, the first season or 2 seasons are incredibly rough. Mainly because there's no, we've said about this before, didn't we, that this was just a show that it was an episode a week, a murder a week, so it didn't really have a connective story. But once we finish season 1, once you guys get into season 2, you'll start to, I don't know if you're going to watch season 2, but midway through season 2, there is an overarching story that it will play out over the next few seasons. But this is, you can tell this was released in the early 2000s, just from like the transitions that happen every fucking episode, where it just like fades to white and then like blows up the exposure on the next shot, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's super dated, honestly. What's this show about? Does anybody want to explain what the show's about, like the first season anyway? I mean, it's just like what the show is about as a whole, I guess.
So it's essentially the FBI are partnering with like this like museum or something, and there's like an anthropologist that works with the FBI to help solve murders from skeletons. So they take it back to the whole lab and do. I don't even know if I'm explaining this properly, but
it's basically, isn't it? There's like a new murder every week, or maybe it's not a murder. Who knows? But there's like a new set of bones. That's why they call it Bones, because they say Bones so much.
I thought they called it Bones because her nickname was Bones.
It's because there's that, and then there's also because of all the bones. And there's a new thing every week. Oh, what happened to this guy? Who knows? Yeah. Maybe, how did he get stuck behind a fridge or stuck behind a wall? How did this guy end up in the swamp? Who knows?
Exactly.
And they got to find it out.
Yeah, so we meet like an ensemble cast. So there's the FBI agent, Booth, is one of the main characters. Then you have the anthropologist, Temperance Brenner, who is just she's like sort of the main person out at the museum, and then she's got her little team of cronies that help like determine, like they've all got their specialist roles to help solve these murders, and it's just literally them. He brings in some bones and he's like, yeah, how did these die, blah blah blah. But I don't want to spoil the end of the season just because if people do want to watch it, but there's at the beginning of the show, you find out that the lead actress, Temperance Brenner's like parents died when she was or they disappeared when she was young, and that is brought back up at the end of the episode or the end of the season, and then is carried on throughout season 2.
Yeah, maybe we can like do a bit like brief spoilers later on, like put a timestamp to skip it in case people want to watch the show.
Sure. I'm going to give like some brief thoughts on the show as a whole that I've sort of picked up on. I didn't...
Yeah, go for it.
I'm sort of like Chris. I didn't really get into it for the first half. It's just, it felt like more of the same. Like every week you got a new thing, but it was basically the same thing that they were doing. It's just like... studying these bones. We got some bones to study, so it's like that every week, and I just didn't get a lot out of it. I gotta say, like, what pulls me in about the show is probably just the characters. I got like more attuned to the characters and how they were. I do like the acting, but I also don't know if it's just like maybe like a hostage situation where I've just been watching this for like weeks now. I did an episode a day. This was my life for about a month, and now it's just like, well, if I'm not getting, I might as well get a little bit of something out of this show, otherwise I'm just having a terrible time. So I don't know if it's like partly that or partly just it got better as it went along. I feel like maybe it was a bit of both, but for the most part, I think what I get mostly out of this is just like the acting and the characters, at least the main cast. I do think they do a good job.
Yeah, man. The acting's quite questionable at the beginning, and it's acting back then in 2005, especially with just how dated the show is. At some points, it was quite hard to watch, and just hearing all this 2005 slang, you're just like, oh my god, it's a little bit cringy at some points. But yeah, I love the characters of the show. They're really like by the end of season 1, I was fully attached to these characters, and I was like, yeah, that's why I've carried on watching the show.
Yeah. Should we talk about some of the characters? I've got like a list of like topics to like discuss. Characters is like the first one.
Yeah, man, do it. Let's go.
So is there any that we particularly like dislike or like a lot?
It's
at first.
Sorry. It's
no, sorry.
Wait,
I was going to say there's a character that I didn't. I was going to say there's a character that I didn't like at first, but that's in season 2, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. maybe not like episodes that I think are like particularly bad, because like when I think back on it, I'm just like, I don't remember most of these episodes because they all just feel the same to me. I've put like stars against like the episodes that I thought were good, or like my favorite episodes. But now like I'm looking at like the names of these episodes and I'm like, what was that? I don't even remember it. It's like, and it's like it's a show that names episodes that are kind of the same. It's like you got a boy in a bush, man in the fallout shelter, 2 bodies in the lab, and it's like when you look back on this, I don't get like an image in my head when I read the episode names, so I don't know what each individual episodes were about.
I think the naming of episodes of shows is quite a weird one, because Friends did the same thing to me, where it was just like the one with and then insert a specific reference from the episode. So that was a little bit easier. If I want to watch an episode of Friends, I can read the name and it's fairly easy to follow through. Same thing with the new Disney Plus shows that have come out. The episode titles for them are pretty solid, so they're easier to follow. But I do definitely see what you're saying, Max. Like, and I've mentioned this to you guys before, I cannot tell the difference between episodes, and that may change as like I watch more and more into the later seasons, and it does get better in season 2. But I don't think this is ever going to be a show where I can just sort of pick out which episodes I love, because they all just blend together.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I have a list of episodes I liked and disliked.
Yeah.
Chris, just what episode do you like? The last one. What episodes didn't you like? The rest of the 21 episodes.
I did like the last one. The first episode I enjoyed was episode 6, where they like find a mummified corpse in the wall of a club. That was like the first time I was like genuinely interested in an investigation. I really liked, I brought it up briefly, episode 9, which is like an episode where they like are chopping into like diseased bone, and they're worried that it's going to release like a pandemic, so they all get quarantined over Christmas. That was like first...
That hit home, didn't it?
Yeah. That's like the first time that the show like genuinely is filled with a lot of heart. Because I think as the show goes on, like you do like begin to care about the characters, especially as you learn more and more about them. And like there is like genuine heart and love throughout the show. And that's also the first episode that I found funny, because this is supposed to be a comedy, apparently.
Oh, God.
And it's not really a comedy at all.
It's not
That was
funny.
like the first episode where I actually laughed at stuff.
I haven't laughed at any of the episodes. I just get really creeped out and weirded out by all the references to sex. I think in every episode of season 1, there is a reference to sex at some point, and you're just like, why?
The
Was this meant to be like
horny.
edgy back in 2005?
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been.
I think my favourite episode of the series is episode 20, where they basically like discover that someone's like, this company's giving out like diseased bone grafts, and it's causing loads of people to contract this rare form of cancer which kills them quickly. I felt like that was like the most like emotionally impactful episode.
Yeah, that was a very sad episode. That was, because it's
You're
the
like a kid there.
FBI, like it's the chief FBI's daughter is one of the people that get this transplant, and she's like, she's not going to survive. So one of the girls that works in this museum is like an artist, and
Angela.
Angela, and she like really connects with like the daughter of the FBI agent, like the top one, not Booth, but his boss, and it's definitely got you in the feels, didn't it? It didn't make me cry, but I was definitely like,
I really loved their interactions. Like, just I feel that was like one of the first times where I really enjoyed Angela as a character, before I felt like she was a little bit like just of a cookie cutter character.
Yeah.
Which I kind of felt with some of
those,
the characters throughout. I really like Temperance and Booth. I think they're both really likeable, although I did kind of dislike them both at first, but as it went on I found them more and more interesting, especially as they go into like the backstory. But like Zach Addy is like almost like the Sheldon of the show, because he's like meant to be the comic relief just because he's like super nerdy, and I don't find him funny at all. And there's like a couple of characters like that where I don't think they're very interesting.
One of my favourite characters is obviously Brenna, and I think one of the things that I love so much about her character is that she is so literal with everything. So back to the episode that you said you enjoyed where they found the mummified corpse in the wall of the nightclub, I loved it when she was talking about the music and people thought she was being racist, and she was just explaining in a logical way of why they like this music and what it means, and you're just like, fucking hell. She's just literal about everything. But I love that contrast between, like, because throughout the whole entire show, or the whole entire of season 1 and what I've seen of season 2 so far, she's like, it's facts, facts, facts. Like, we don't go by anything other than facts. We don't go by gut instincts. We don't do anything like this. Whereas Booth's character is all about gut instinct. He's an FBI agent, used to be in the military, so he has a sense of all that stuff. So there's a good contrast between both of them, that they balance each other out.
Yeah, I do like their dynamic. She's kind of like a bit too frank with people who have like lost loved ones. She would go like into like explaining details of how they were murdered. Taking into account like how that would make them feel. And I think it's a good dynamic between her and Booth, where he tends to reel her back a bit. We were talking about the Christmas episode, with that bottle episode where they were all inside the museum. That was like, that might have been like one of the first ones where I actually like cared, because you get a lot more from the characters. It's basically like a character piece, that whole episode, because you don't really get much from the individuals themselves until then, because they're always talking about bones. But yeah, I enjoyed that. I watched episode 1 again yesterday, just because I needed like a bone count for that one, because they say the word bones so many times, man. They say the word bones so many times.
Did you work out like an average of how often they say it or anything?
No, I should have done that. No. It's like, it's always, I feel like if I were to estimate, it's like around the 30 mark.
Or each episode.
So many times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like episode 1, they say it 29 times.
Well,
like,
it is called
Christ.
Bones.
Yeah. The highest one was in episode 18, where they say it 61 times. And these are 44-minute long episodes. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. I also noticed that they kind of set Angela up to be a bit more interesting, and then sort of like pulled her back a bit as the season went on. I really liked how she was introduced. She was like this like flirty person. She was like like trying to get out of like a ticket or something, or like trying to get the attention of
she's trying to get the attention
employees.
Of the guy.
Yeah,
and she strips.
Takes her top off.
So cringy.
And then she's like, yeah, but it's like, it's fun as well, because then she's like she's talking to Brennan, and they're quite flirty, but then it devolves into this like cookie cutter boring stuff with like really like, oh, I've seen this character before, I've seen this character before. There's like a weird, very subtle but not so subtle plot line with like, you think maybe Brennan and Booth are going to be set up to like date in the future. Maybe I get that from like Angela and Hodgins as well, slightly, and I just don't care for it. I don't think there's really much room for like a romantic subplots in this show, because at least from what I've seen, because what's the point? It's about the bones. I don't want to see this, and it's like, it's not well written in the first place, so I don't really care.
But maybe that would change the later the seasons go on, because I think any show is going to be dampened with bad writing and bad storytelling like the first season.
Yeah, I have read like a lot of what happens in the rest of the show, because I doubt I'm actually gonna carry it on. And yeah, you were pretty on the nose with your predictions there. That's all I'll say.
I think it was obvious anyway. Like, even from like the first half of the season, you know they're going to get together. It's the trope of the show. It's like in Scrubs, JD got with Elliot in the end. In Friends, Ross and Rachel got together in the end. In this, you can watch the first season and you know that they're going to get together by the end of the season. Well, by the end of the 12 season stretch easily. But I have spoiled the show for myself. I've watched clips from all the seasons, so I know exactly what happens later on.
I do kind of have a problem with that. Like, just because they're like male and female characters, it means they have to get together. I don't know why. That's just like an important plot in like every TV show.
Well, because friendship is not enough for people, you know? Like, I hate the idea, like, a lot of these shows do it. It's like, yeah, they're friends. And for me, that's enough. I really like their dynamic, Brennan and Booth. I like how they bounce off of each other. And I don't think anything could be added by them being in a romantic relationship with each other or adding romance to their relationship. Because, like, a lot of these shows just go like, oh, yeah, they're friends. And now the next step up is that they're romantic with each other, and it's like, why is that like a next step up? Why is that more important than just like a solid friendship?
I guess it's not interesting enough though for people to watch. There has to be some form of tension that comes externally from the show being a murder mystery once a week, trying to figure it out. But you find it with every show out there. I will agree. I honestly don't see how, from watching what I've watched so far, how the show will benefit from them two being in a relationship. As much as I'd like it to happen, it's just forced at this point. Like, I only want it to happen because they've been written to get together, or to show that they're going to. So, yeah. But I would agree. Like, they could just stay like really platonic friends. Like, one of my favorite on-screen relationships between a male and female character that aren't in a relationship is JD and Carla from Scrubs. It's a perfect relationship. Like, they're best friends, they're opposite sexes, and it just goes to show that two leads can be in that friend dynamic without having to get into a relationship for a show to be successful. But this was back in 2005, so before any of the shit that's happened in the last few years has really happened.
Yeah. Something I had noted down that I just wanted to bring up that I forgot to say earlier is that Brennan is played by Emily Deschanel, who plays the girl in the famous pizza time scene in Spider-Man 2, who refuses to pay for the pizza because he's late.
Oh, wow.
Does she actually?
Yeah.
It's an iconic role.
That's amazing. I'm going to Google it. Carry on.
We've also got, obviously,
time.
David Boreanaz. He plays Seeley Booth, who obviously was Angel in Buffy.
Mm.
This is probably my favourite role I've seen from him.
Yeah, he's been in, other than the gap between 2004 and 2005 when this show was released, he's been in a show as a main role every year. Even up to this day, he's really successful in terms of like acting in shows of this caliber. Because I watched like a Where Are They Now? Well. Yeah, I had like a Where Are They Now video pop up, so I watched it. But yeah, and he's quite. Mate, I can't believe that's actually her from fucking Spider-Man 2.
I know. Yeah, because he's in like I think it's called SEAL Team or something, where he's the lead in that, and that's like. There's new episodes airing literally at the moment. Yeah.
I like him as an actor, though. He's really good.
He is really good. I love him in Buffy and Angel, but I think this is probably my favourite role from him. He really suits that sort of like charming guy with like a darker sort of backstory.
I loved it when... does he... Because I can't remember if this is season 1 or season 2, but in season 1 at any point, does he talk to Brenner about his time as a sniper?
Yeah, that's in one of the last episodes.
Yeah, I love it when he brings like that sort of stuff up because he plays there's such a vulnerability about him when he's doing it. It's not like forced emotion when he's doing it. He doesn't say it like he's pleased with it, and you can definitely tell that there are certain cases where he does get attached to them, and when you find out more about his backstory and what he's done, like, you can definitely, it makes sense.
Yeah, during that scene, there was a line I really loved where he was talking about like how he like killed people while he was in the army, and there was a line that said something like, "When you kill someone, you don't just kill that one person," or something like that.
Yeah, you kill a bit. You kill a bit of yourself as well. Part of you dies every time.
Mm.
I think that the tone that this is going for is quite light, despite there being a lot of dark themes.
Yeah.
I likened this to a show like that I really love called Hannibal, but it's not quite as dark as Hannibal, and it's also not as good as Hannibal. I think if you're looking for something like a really solid like murder mystery detective show, I would pick that over this. But I appreciate what this is going for, because it's not doing the same thing. But I think that it's just, it doesn't really. I think what that show does and what Bones does not do is like a consistent kind of story. I really wasn't getting a lot out of like the episodic, like weekly type of thing, when it all sort of felt the same anyway. Like it felt like just this, oh, we're done for this week, and then I wrote some stuff about it, and then I forgot about it, and then the next day I watched the next episode, and it's like, oh, okay, that was that. They got the guy, and it's like, oh, in the last 5 minutes they solve it all, and that's just that. It's really like the structure was very familiar to me. I didn't really like care for it, and I also didn't care for like the victims. I didn't really care for like, oh, there was no like emotional. I didn't get like an emotional attachment to like basically anything apart from just like the acting from the main characters. That's basically what tethered me to the show.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for them, I really would not
watch it.
I wouldn't care at all.
I love the fact that Max said he'd like, if he had to watch a murder mystery show, he'd watch Hannibal over this. I think what Max is forgetting, he chose to watch Hannibal. This was forced upon us. We didn't choose to watch Bones.
Well, you chose to watch like the rest of it. You're gonna watch the rest of it, aren't you?
I will, and I love the show. It's really good, but I completely understand where you're coming from. This is something that we just did as a meme, so I'm not entirely surprised. That,
it's like some people do like this show. Of course they do. It went on for 12 seasons. Nobody's like, oh yeah, I watched Bones because I was forced to do it. Like that's clearly not why it went on for so long, because everyone was just forced to watch it.
Everyone had a box turn up from CEX, and they're like, oh, we gotta fucking watch it now. That was it, Max. It wasn't CEX that accidentally sent it to you. It was the network that filmed Bones. They're like, we need to get this out to more people. And look at that, now they've got a podcast episode about it.
You're welcome.
Maybe if we get enough listens, they'll bring it back.
Oh, God. Yeah, Paramount Plus.
Shows get destroyed by that. Scrubs did it, and I'm glad Friends haven't done it.
Yeah. With this show, I feel like the writing is kind of all over the place. Like, there's like some episodes that are like genuinely really well written and are like fairly funny. I wouldn't say like laugh out loud funny, but they're humorous and they're like filled with a lot of heart. And then you get a lot of episodes that are just super dull and just like generic crime investigation sort of show sort of thing. I constantly find myself enjoying like them looking into like the forensic side of things and breaking down that than the actual like mystery presented in a lot of the episodes.
The science of the episode is quite good. I do enjoy that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, it was well researched. It was like based on like someone who actually did it.
Yeah.
So I assume they knew a lot about what was being talked about in the show. That's
was
something I really liked
Bones?
about it as well.
Maybe.
That's something I liked about the show as well, is that they throw a lot of this technical jargon around, and maybe you don't understand everything they're saying about it, but you understand that they know what they're talking about, and that's what makes it feel a bit more authentic.
Well, talking about that, I think that's how can I say this? Because they are so technical with their terminology, people like us don't understand it. We aren't anthropologists, we aren't scientists, We have no idea. So when he's trying to explain, oh, there's a broken finger, and they explain it in like all the correct terminology, that's why I love having Booth there as our perspective, as the viewer's perspective, because there are so many episodes where he's like, can you dumb that down? I'm not a scientist. So they explain it, and it's not forced. It makes so much sense within the context of the show. He's an FBI agent. He doesn't understand all of this. And it's very good for us to be able to follow along without it feeling so forced, or if you get me.
Yeah. Or like when they're in court and like someone like tells her to like explain it for people who don't understand what she's talking about, that sort of thing. So.
Yeah. That episode was funny.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Honestly, I cannot, like, that made the American justice system look so dumb that they were like, oh, we're going to ignore her and like not convict this criminal because what she's saying is too smart for everyone. And it takes her to like to say like it's not about whether you like me, it's about the victim, for them to be like, yeah, maybe you're right. It's like, well, you're in fucking court for a reason, aren't you?
Well, that's like with the OJ Simpson trial, like years and years ago, a lot of the jury like came out afterwards and were like, yeah, we do think OJ Simpson probably did it, but we don't think the team against him did a good enough job of proving that he did it, and that's why he got let off.
That's so, because it needs to be proven without a reasonable doubt, or with reasonable doubt. And yeah, that's a topic for another episode. Episode 50, the OJ special, where we just watch David Swimmer say juice every 5 minutes. Hey, juice.
That show was actually really great. Like, just off topic, I loved that show. The American Crime Story.
I thought it was a movie.
No, it's American Crime Story from the creators of American Horror Story.
Oh, okay. Oh, fair. I didn't know that.
Oh, right.
I thought it was
I'd recommend
a film
it.
about the OJ Simpson case.
No.
I noticed like the music got substantially better as the season went on. Like I rewatched the
music.
I rewatched like the first episode, and Jesus Christ, was the music bad. It's like this really like, it's very of the time, very I don't know how I would describe the music. It's very of the time, and it's like I watched this with subtitles because I just watched stuff with subtitles, and like there's like a song playing as Brennan's examining the bones, and then the subtitles are like they're wrong for the lyrics that are being sung. I'm like, Jesus Christ! It's like, not only is the song like crap, but it's wrong.
Those montages are so bad. Like,
they're so bad.
Luckily, it doesn't happen that often, like in some of the later episodes. But it's like you just have like Brennan just got her headphones in, and she's like examining bones, and you got like the fucking Fray playing like while she's doing it, and it's just really cringy and unnecessary.
Yeah, it was so funny.
They've got the Fray playing. Yeah, it's so weird.
There was an episode with One Republic playing, and I didn't realise until I looked up afterwards because it didn't sound like what I've heard from her.
Oh right.
In season 2, Snow Patrol gets name dropped.
Oh wow.
You can there's a soundtrack CD of season 3 that I was looking at earlier.
Looking at buying it, were you? Maybe that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was tempted to like buy it and like deliver it to one of you guys and not tell you, so it just shows up. But it was like £20, and I was like, I'm not buying that. The Bones season 3 soundtrack CD.
Send it to Max. We're just going to get him like a bunch of Bones memorabilia. When someone comes around, they're just going to think he's really into the show, and he's like, I don't fucking like it.
Yeah. Replace all his posters in his room with Bones posters.
Well, he can get rid of that silly fucking Midsummer poster, can't he, and put the Bones one up.
Oh dear. I like in episode 15 where like Brennan and Booth are at Brennan's place, and then Booth's like, oh, look at this music, man, it's so cool. And then they like dance to Hot Blooded. This is like so lame, but it was so funny.
Yeah, and then they Booth explodes opening the fridge.
Oh yeah.
Such terrible foreshadowing.
The way that you just framed that, Booth doesn't explode, the fridge explodes while Booth opens it. You've just made it sound like he's opened the fridge and blown himself up.
He just spontaneously combusts opening the fridge.
Damn fridges.
I did write that down. Booth gets blown up by a fridge. That's what it looks like.
It is.
Oh dear.
Didn't they say if he wasn't like reaching up to get a glass, he would have died or something? Because his like face would have been like aiming down at the explosion, but because his like face was,
I'm pretty sure
it was out of the way of the blast.
Pretty sure he should have been dead anyway. He got fucking blown up.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's no way he would have survived that. But
fridge door landed on top of him.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of stuff in this show that I feel like is super unrealistic. Like, got like Angela's holograms throughout, where she's like showing like she takes like bones and somehow like reconstructs what they would look like in real life, and like has them as holograms. That sort of stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a little bit like far fetched, but it's also something that could possibly happen. But then there was like episode 16 where there's like, she creates this huge hologram of underground tunnels, and she's like able to link like two corpses in there and link up every tunnel surrounding them, and that sort of
it's
stuff.
The best machine in the world that can do literally anything on it. I did like the inclusion of that thing. I thought it was very like, it looked nice, and like I liked how they used it at some point. Some like that tunnel thing was absolute bullshit. No way they could do that. But I appreciated it. Like you can take like liberties with that. Like maybe this isn't real, but we did it for the show, so it's like included in this show's universe. I don't mind that, but sometimes it could be completely far fetched, and I didn't believe it at all.
In season 2. This isn't a spoiler, but this is talking about the hologram scene. In season 2, they're investigating an MMA fighter's death, and they're trying to determine who killed her and whether it was the other fighter during the match. And they get all the damage from her body, like from her bones, and they're like, oh, she got punched here, she got punched there. Then they get the other MMA fighter and examine her body and the damage done to her. And then just by looking at bruises, broken bones, tears, all this stuff, Angela creates the fight scene to the exact fight that they had. Just based on these injuries, and you're like, that's that. And the tunnel thing, I was like, this thing had me believing it for a while, but when like you've just done this, I'm just like, nah. Because in that tunnel scene, when she's linking all the tunnels in season 1, she has to manually input every single one of those tunnels, and she does it within like 100 years of the evolution of the tunneling system under America, and it's like, do you know how long that would have fucking taken? And she does it in like an afternoon. And you're like, no one is that dedicated and that fast at their work.
Yeah, it was definitely ridiculous. There's also things where like Brennan and Booth will be like maybe like interrogating someone or investigating stuff, and they'll do things that in real life there's no way that they'd like get away with it. Like they'll like maybe steal evidence that they don't have a warrant for, or like Brennan constantly kicks suspects as they run away, and like in real life, like there's no way she'd get away with that. Like just basically like police brutality. She'd have
been arrested herself.
Yeah, exactly. I just
literally every time anyone touches her, she just beats them up.
Yeah, in like the early episodes of season 1, doesn't she like chase a suspect down? She kicks him to the ground, then she puts her foot on his neck, and it's just like, imagine what the like civilians are thinking. They're witnessing an FBI agent and a scientist beat someone up for no reason, and then she's just choking him in the middle of the street, and they make a joke about it, and I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Now we see the violence inherent in the system.
The only time she sees any like consequences or anything is like in episode 1 where she shoots someone who's like about to set the room on fire or something.
Yeah, and she gets
like everything else where she's away. It was but like everything episode. Else where she's beating people up, like who like they don't even know for sure are like the bad guy. They're just like trying to get away from the police, like that sort of stuff. It's just, she definitely wouldn't get away with that in real life.
Hey, whatever. There's female power, isn't it?
Yeah, I understand they're going with like she's a female that can take care of herself. She doesn't need like Booth to baby her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're breaking a lot of rules doing so. Like a lot of laws. There's like, but like in season 2, they go over her rap sheet, and it just lists all the things she's done. So she's got like 2 counts of assault of like when she's hit criminals, and then she's got the gun charge as well. And she's like, yeah, but he tried to set me on fire, and they were fleeing from the police, and you're like, yeah, but you don't fucking shoot them. That's not shoot them. Sorry, you don't beat them up.
To be fair, yeah. I did kind of understand the shooting one because she was about to die.
Yeah, that one is under. Like, they're like, you shot an unarmed man. It's like, well, he wasn't unarmed, was he? Because he was just about to kill me, just not with a gun.
Should have done that to the kid in episode 5 when she's interrogating the child. Because he just constantly lies to her. If she'd like slammed his face into the desk, that would have been pretty funny. I like that episode as well. That was like one of the best episodes. It's like they find the bones of they find like the bones of a 6-year-old. I felt that was like a lot of these episodes are like but then like you get some of them that are like weirdly deep and like explore like actual problems that we have in society. Like that was all about like how children can be manipulated by adults, and I found that really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like with this show, there's like at least in the first season, there's so much filler that this could easily be a show that's only like 13 episodes a season. Like, because there's just so much like unnecessary like stuff in the show, especially in like the first season. From what we've seen so far, there's multiple episodes that like just feel like they're trying to stretch the series out to 22 episodes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to meet the episode requirement set by the studio, isn't it? Which, for some shows, maybe like in season 2 and onwards, it justifies the 22 episode seasons because of the story that unfolds throughout the later seasons. But with season 1, there's just so much filler in it, and like I understand it's like some of it is character development and like trying to introduce the characters more than what they do with their jobs, if you get me. It's trying to flesh them out a little bit more, but at the same time, sometimes it's not done well, so it is just filler and it's not interesting.
Yeah. It's like, if they cut it down by like half, I don't know if this is how it works, but I feel like you just have like, you'd have double the budget for all these episodes, and you could actually flesh out the characters a bit more. You could spend more time with them, and you could tell stories that actually matter and like actually have some sort of weight to the show. Like there's like an episode where they talk a lot, like that voodoo episode where they talk about like religion, and like they kind of criticize like different types of religions, and like why is voodoo like bad but like Catholicism is really good. Like why? Like it's the same kind of beliefs, but there's like a taboo against one. So why is that? Is it because it's like they delve into like it's like possibly like a racial thing where like voodoo is like in more common in other parts of the world, not so much in like America where it's more like a Christian type of country. Or like there's an episode where they talk about like the shootings that the army went through. Like they shot a bunch of like unarmed people in a different country, and it was like this. I'm in two minds about that episode, because on the one hand it's quite strangely like patriotic, and I don't know if I really gel with it, but on the other hand it's like this criticism of the army, which I enjoyed, but it's a two minds kind of deal.
What I'll say about the whole unnecessary amount of episodes that are in the seasons, we do have to remember this show did come out 16 years ago, so what we think today is it was normal back then for them to, like, every show back in the early 2000s had so much filler, unneeded amounts of episodes, and I think we have to be mindful that we can judge it now in 2021, but back then that's what was the norm. So when you look at every show, it was like that. But the funny thing is, as soon as you mentioned that, I was thinking about shows that have been released in the last few years, and I think you've hit the nail on the head with that about cutting unnecessary episodes out and doubling the budget. Think of any show that's on Netflix. There's barely any shows now being released to streaming services that are above 13 episodes. Then you've got Disney Plus with the MCU TV shows where we're only getting, like at the moment, WandaVision 9 episodes, Falcon and Winter Soldier 6 episodes. The Netflix MCU shows or the Marvel shows on there, they were only like 10, 13 episodes as well. So I think you're right. I think studios have realised that they don't need to make an unnecessary amount of episodes, and they can cut it down and just spend a bigger budget on smaller episodes to make it's quality over quantity.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's what a lot of people are doing nowadays.
Yeah, even with this show, I think the last season or two are only 13 episodes. Like,
yeah,
obviously they learned from that towards the end, because nowadays, like you said, pretty much every show is about 13 episodes long, and I think that's about the perfect length before it gets a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, because you think about it, if we're watching, imagine we're watching Bones in 2005 as it was aired. Actually, no, I'll actually use this as an example. When I first started watching Lost, back when that came out, I did 3 seasons. You've got to think, 22 episodes a season, a week an episode. I'm spending half a year watching a show. By the last episode, I've forgotten what's happened in the first half of the season because it was nearly half a year ago. So it's definitely good in terms of like keeping attention as well, because you don't have that much time to forget information that you really need from earlier on in the season.
Yeah. That's why I like miniseries a lot. You just like get this,
definitely,
like maybe like 5-episode type of deal where they're not going to make any more episodes, but it's just this story that needed to be told in this many episodes. So I like that. I think we're seeing a lot more of that nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. But no, that was a really good point to bring up, because as soon as you said it, I was like, holy shit, like, yeah, that's what people have started doing.
To be honest, the only reason I don't think I'm going to carry on the show is because of how long the seasons are. Like, I did enjoy the first season, and I would like to see more of it, but at the same time, there's 224 other episodes of this show. And when they're all like 45 minutes long, that's like a huge chunk of time that I would have to dedicate to this show. And like, I just don't think I can do that.
Chris, before you jumped on, Max, that when I was watching I only started watching season 2 of Bones on Tuesday, and I've nearly finished it, and it's Friday. I watched 9 episodes in one day, and it took up so much of my day, and it fucked my sleeping pattern just to watch it. And
I'm not surprised.
It's ridiculous.
Jesus,
mate.
9 episodes? Are you bloody kidding me?
Holy
shit!
You watching season 2 almost jeopardised this episode.
Yeah. Didn't wake up until bloody 2 p.m.
When you're too into Bones, it almost becomes a detriment. But what was I going to say? Like, yeah, there's so much time needs to be dedicated to this, and I think if you pace it out, you can do it, like 1 or 2 episodes a day. But at the same time, are you really interested that much to spend the next 2 years watching Bones 1 or 2 episodes a day? Like, no. Like,
no, it's like homework, isn't it?
Yeah, literally.
It felt like homework to me. I had to like understand when we were going to record this episode, and I had to plan out 1 episode a day prior to that to watch 22 episodes. And like every morning I would wake up, and that's the first thing I would do is watch the new episode of Bones, and just to get it out of the way. It just felt like homework to me.
Oh my god, right, so I've just worked it out. If you were to watch all of Bones, so if you wanted to watch season 1 all the way up until the end of season 12, average episode length 42 minutes, 22 episodes a season. This is obviously going to be shorter because the last season's only got 13 episodes, but this is just a rough estimate. It's 198 hours.
Yeah, too much. It's too much.
Which is, you'd have to spend 8.5 days watching it non-stop.
Exactly. For a show that I'm not even all that invested in the first place. No, thank you. I don't think I'll do that.
I'm gonna watch this. I'm literally gonna finish the whole entire 12 seasons without a doubt. I'm too invested now, and I'm too far gone. So I'm gonna try and get it done as quickly as possible without it taking up too much of my day. And by episode 35, if I'm done, I'll give my review of the whole entirety of the seasons to you guys.
Please do.
I'll spend 5 minutes just talking about what I thought of every fucking of Bones itself. That's my homework.
I would like to at some point do another TV show in the way we've done this.
Yeah,
like for like a special episode where we watch the first season, do like one a day leading up to it.
Yeah,
I would like to do that at some point.
Should we just do like every 10 episodes we'll watch a first season of something, because then it gives us 10 weeks to watch a season, and
to be fair, I thought like maybe we could like comprise like a list together of TV shows that are on like streaming services and do it like at random like we do with the marathons when we actually do
bring back the Sunday series marathon.
Every 10 episodes we do the Sunday series marathon.
Yeah, but that's a good idea, because I'd love to because I really like watching TV shows just as much as I like watching films. TV shows are just such a journey to go on, and I do want to start watching more than the ones that I've just watched anyway, because I keep rewatching the same ones. I'll go back and I'll watch Scrubs again, then I'll watch Friends again. I will never watch Big Bang Theory ever again, because after season 3 I was just bored of it, so I was like, nah.
You watch that? Jesus Christ. I just came up with the average bones count, by the way. I did it. I came up with the mean average of bones. On average, every episode, the word bones was said 27 times. But the collective amount of times that they say the word bones or bone in season 1 is 598.
That's that's them saying bones every 1.5 minutes in every episode.
Jeez.
It's a lot. For a show called Bones, you do get your money's worth with the amount of times they say bones. I was not disappointed by that.
Do you reckon they didn't have a name for the for the show, and they did the first season? They're like, what are we going to call it? And they're they're just reading through the script. Bones has said quite a lot.
You know what? Know what we've said a hell of a lot. Let's just call it that.
I think are we ready to wrap it up? It's been a short episode, but there's not much more to add.
No, this is really not the show itself. It's not too in depth, but you get a good idea of it, I think.
Are we going to give it a rating or just leave it?
No, give it a rating. At a Bones.
Yeah, definitely at a Bones. It's got to be.
Yeah. So, Chris, you can start. Season 1 of Bones, what do you think?
I liked it overall. Like I said, it starts off quite rough, but as it keeps going, I did enjoy it more and more. I'm it's very split about whether I want to carry it on or not. The only thing putting me off is just how many episodes there are. But maybe one day I'll slowly watch it. I'll probably give it maybe a 7 bones out of 10. It's a low 7, high 6, I'd say.
Yeah. I feel like I probably won't carry on with it, or at least I might pick it up a long time from now, because I just don't care enough. It's largely dull and samey to me, and nothing really stands out after watching it all, apart from it's given me a Pavlovian response to the word bones, and every time I hear the word bones in movies, I just think I've got to write a note down for they've said bones.
What do you mean Pavlovian response?
It's what is it? Something about Pavlov, who did something to
I've never heard that phrase used before, and I'm just interested now.
I've got to Google it. I know what it means in a general sense. It's fucking hell. Conditioning It's like how you condition an animal to do things. Like they hear it enough times and they do a certain thing.
Oh,
That's
so
how you condition like an animal.
In the famous experiments that Ivan Pavlov conducted with his dogs, Pavlov found that objects or events could trigger conditioned responses. Oh, okay, right. Yeah. I get what you mean.
Like you give a dog a treat, it does a little dance for you. That's like kind of what this is for me. I hear the word bones, I'm like, gotta make a note of that. But I don't anymore. Thank God, I don't have to do it anymore. How many times
did you say this word in this movie?
But I always pick up on it now, so that's fun. Not really, but I think I would be more keen on carrying this on if like I was invested in like the story that was being told. But I feel like the last episode just kind of ended on a cliffhanger and nothing really beforehand had like set it up. It's just like, now we're going to do this because it's the end of the season, and
they have to have a cliffhanger.
When they end it on a cliffhanger, I'm less likely to watch the next thing if like they've chosen
that's kind of the opposite of what they want. They end it on a cliffhanger, so you want to watch the next season. But Max is like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah, I'm fine with a cliffhanger if like it's been set up and the story's compelling enough. But this just isn't.
Well, you do find out like they do set it up quite well by talking about her parents like throughout the whole entirety of the season. But I get what you mean.
Yeah, but it's mixed in with these episodes that don't mean anything to the rest of the story. So from that, I would say that the characters are what drive me through the show. Thank God the acting is good.
Mm-hmm. You would have had a fucking miserable time if it wasn't.
It would have been so miserable. It would have been such a slog. Sometimes it was a slog with the weaker episodes. It's like, oh God, I got to watch 44 minutes of this, and then like I click on like the time, and it's like, oh, you've got half an hour left. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I've only been going for 15 minutes. I can't take this anymore.
And you can't skip the episode just in case there's something vital that comes up later on in the season that you have to listen to. You're like, for fuck's sake.
So based on all that, I'm going to have to give Bones Season 1 5 bones out of 10.
Yeah, that's what I was originally thinking, you're both saying, like, you don't know if you're going to watch it. I was going to say, like, well, the first season of any show is always going to be a rocky one, so maybe you should give it more time and watch the second season. But when I was thinking that, I was like, well, if a show hasn't drawn you in after the first season, then maybe it's just not for you. If you're not excited to watch it after the first season, then that the show hasn't done its job by entertaining you, and I think that's a fair response anyway. I really liked I really fucking liked this show.
Yes. Nice.
By the fact that I've nearly finished season 2 already. So I'm gonna give it, like you've both said, there are so many things, like there's weak episodes, there's some clunky dialogue, things are just pulled out of like at the last minute just for the sake of pulling it out. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. 8.5 bones out of 10.
Nice.
I'm glad
you liked it.
I'm definitely going to carry the show on and watch the whole entirety of the season. Then in episode 35, when we do the next series, whatever that's going to be, then I'll give you a review of the whole show. When do you guys want to? Obviously, we're going to do recommendations for next week, the movies. But when do you guys want to? Next week, should we do like the wheel for the next series as well, just so it gives us time? Or do you want to wait a little bit?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Gives us a week to like decide what shows are going to be on there.
Yeah.
Because obviously I think it'll be best if it's all shows we've not watched, so we need to plan it.
So, recommendations for next week?
Yeah. Starting with me. I've got them all on a wheel again, so just going to pick it at random. So, my list of recommendations, I cut down loads of stuff from directors we talked about already, so we can talk about some films that we've not talked about so far and possibly won't be able to talk about so far. And the film that has come up for me today is one of the most important films of the 80s, at least I think so. Do the Right Thing, directed by Spike Lee. It's on Amazon Prime. Really great film about racism. I know Max has seen it, so it should be good.
Not even heard of that film, so I'm excited to watch it.
Good movie. My recommendation. Man, I've been hyped for this recommendation. I saw it appear on Netflix I've been waiting until it was added. So my recommendation is a 2013 movie directed by Michael John Warren called Shrek the Musical.
Are you fucking joking?
No, that's my recommendation. That's my it's on Netflix. I was really excited.
Are you making us watch Shrek?
Shrek the Musical.
Right, I'm definitely going to recommend Paranormal Ascendancy at some point then.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Can't wait.
If I haven't answered the first fucking time, I'm not going to answer your next call. That's just one of my pet peeves when people continuously ring me. If I haven't answered, don't call back. I'm not going to answer. So I'm being bugged. So I'm going to wrap this up quickly. My next recommendation... Fuck me, I can't even speak. My next recommendation is going to be a film that I've, again, wanted to watch for a while. And it's on Netflix. It's Shutter Island. Came out in 2010, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. In the group chat, I gave a tease of it. I was trying to see like if you could guess the movie, if Max and Chris could. And Chris, how did you get it in one?
2010 film. It's an actor. You said that it's a 2010 film starring an actor that's we've talked about in a film very, very recently. And
yeah,
I just thought of 2010 films, and for some reason Shutter Island was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah,
I think
that's a very, very good guess though, because that was exactly it. Max, what did you?
It's been on my watch list for years.
Max, what did you say? You said I was going to make us watch a film again. Oh, Four Lions.
Yeah.
But
it's not even from 2010.
Hope you enjoyed this very short episode of the Sunday Series Marathon.
Mm-hmm. We got our social media accounts. We got YouTube, the Sunday Movie Marathon, Twitter at Sunday Movie Pod, Facebook at Sunday Movie Marathon, and Letterboxd at Sunday MM. Thank you so much for listening to this very special, very unique episode of the Sunday Movie /Series Marathon.
See ya.